It's like a total character study. That's a big thing I've learned in the last couple days. Like, people hate character studies. I love character studies. I read plays. Like, a play is a character study for the most part. There's not a lot of things going on around the physical dialogue and the relationships between people. So, but that's not your cup of tea, and that's okay.
We've done that study on people before, haven't we? We took the unrequited love story, and instead of it being a dude and a chick who he can't get, we just made it two dudes.
Well, there's only like 7. There's only, I think, 7 plots. Like, every single movie ever made falls into one of 7 plot lines. So that goes back to. So you have to find creative ways to tell the same story in a different light. But at the heart of it,
that's just not my plot.
At the heart of it, you can tear every single movie down, and it's the same thing over and over again.
I don't know. Nemo felt different.
No, Nemo's a coming-of-age story. Lost, separated from your parents. One parent dies.
Okay.
Father-son relationship.
But
I forget what the 7 categories are.
Well, what was the song today?
Oh. It was some Lil Baby song. Real as it gets.
Baby Shark?
Real as it gets.
What's that?
A Lil Baby song. Had me ready to play a basketball game. That's what I felt. Or run a race.
Who sings Real as it gets?
Lil Baby.
Child?
Are you 85 years old?
Yes. Clearly I'm 40. Also, everybody's responses on this cartoon draft, Nicktoon draft,
that
makes me only
every response that you've gotten.
When you said Lil Baby,
that was like our first. Who's on first?
I thought you were talking about like a children's song. I didn't know you meant actually Lil Baby.
Lil Baby.
Okay.
I always forget which baby is which baby. Lil Baby and Da Baby.
Da Baby is the shorter one.
Okay.
Da Baby is the one who got in trouble for, like, if you.
Okay, Da Baby got in trouble. Lil Baby.
Not yet.
It's just a Lil Baby.
Yeah. What was the song again? Because I probably know it.
Real as it gets.
Okay,
by
I know
Lil
that
Baby.
song. I know that song now.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
I bumped it loudly.
Okay.
Driving into work today. What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, April 8th. It is going to be a good day. Coming up on today's show, Jessica Benson with you from the Grind City Media Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. CJ Hurt behind the glass. We had a champion crowned in a very painful collapse at last night's men's national championship game. We'll get into Florida's win over Houston. It is also a Grizzlies game day. Grizzlies Hornets tonight. Mike Wallace is going to join us in the second segment to talk about the Grizzlies' final week of the regular season, the wild playoff race in the Western Conference. He also had a chance to catch up yesterday with Zach Edey and Tuomas Iisalo. We'll get all that with Mike. Then Will Coleman is going to join us, former Memphis Tiger, joins us on Tuesdays. We'll wrap up the college basketball season with him. We will end with some TV Tuesday. The women's national championship game ratings came out. They were illuminating. We'll talk about White Lotus, what we've been watching, what we're excited to start watching as some big new shows coming back this week. It is a Tuesday. You know what we say.
They want a cowabunga.
Cowabunga!
How'd you say cowabunga like that?
I don't know.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
With a knockaway.
Good defense.
Morant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting.
Let's go.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Double your chances to win all month long in March with 2 big promotions. On Fridays, embrace the madness and win a share of $150,000 in cash and free play. On Saturdays, starting March 8th, go for the gold and win your share of up to $10,000 in cash and free play in the 80K Fool's Gold giveaway. Enjoy live entertainment all month long and play for your chance to win big in March only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 or up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
I see people who look like me and were born probably in the same decade as me, watching all of these young people jump into the transfer portal and saying, it's ridiculous. You got to stop thinking about this like it's a normal college experience. It is not. You know what the priority is? Maximize your earning potential for every year of eligibility you have left. That's what this is about now. These are jobs.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Feels great to feel the sunshine. Gotta own the day like it's all mine. Just got paid in his own time. Been working hard, I've been on the grind. I deserve this feeling, having my way. I've been on this healing. This is my day. The sun's out, let's have a little fun now. I wanna let it all out. That's what it's all about. Cause I deserve this feeling, having my way. I deserve this healing. This is my day.
Grind City Media presents The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. Live from the Grind City Media Studios on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Hope you had a great start to your week. A Grizzlies game day coming up as the Grizzlies face, I was going to say the vaunted Charlotte Hornets. That level of sarcasm doesn't feel appropriately. The Grizzlies face the Hornets tonight in Charlotte. Mike Wallace is going to join us in the next segment to talk all things Grizzlies, all things NBA. But we, of course, have to start with last night's national championship game. I made it to the end of one shining moment, despite that game starting for some godforsaken reason at 7:20 Central Time. And it really didn't even start until like 7:25.
I thought it was supposed to tip at 50.
Was it 50?
I thought it was supposed to tip at 7:50. I don't know.
Am I in my head?
I saw the time.
I swear it was 20.
It was like, I'm
because then
out.
I think I saw somebody say it actually tipped off 30 minutes earlier than usual. It's usually 50.
Okay.
But maybe it was 50. Whatever it was, it's too late.
Ah.
And it's too late to apologize. And someday I hope they change it. Put it on in the afternoon, you cowards. Give me a 2 p.m. national championship game on a Monday. Make it a national holiday.
That makes sense. That's the excitement that we have for the Thursday, Friday first round game for the round of 64
It was 50. It was 50.
Okay. The excitement that we have for the round of 64 games is in part because we know, hey, we're not going to be doing any work on Thursday and Friday. We're just going to sit there. So give us that.
Close the circle
Give us that on a
appropriately.
Monday.
Thank you.
Give it to us on a Monday. Let everybody take off of work or be at work while watching the game. And like, let's celebrate. We don't have
Anyway.
enough sports holidays. Super Bowl Monday
Agreed.
should be a holiday.
Agreed.
National Championship Monday, men's basketball should be a holiday as well.
Thank you. Make it happen. I cannot get over how Houston lost that game. I woke up this morning sick for the Houston Cougars. I think that was one of the worst final possessions that I've ever seen in a basketball game. And the fact that Houston turned it over on their 4 final possessions last night against Florida was brutal enough. But the way that that ended, and again, we cannot show it because we can't show highlights from March Madness ever. But just envision absolute dumbness. Like, there's no better word for it. I don't understand the lack of urgency, the not making sure that the ball was back in your best player's hands, and Cryer going with Sharp, and Sharp catching that ball. Immediate instinct was to shoot it instead of pump fake and drive to the basket, which Kelvin Sampson did say after the game should have been the plan in that situation. But then he gets caught, and the ball hits the ground. He can't touch it again because it's going to be a travel, and it's just bouncing in no man's land. And I can only imagine for Houston fans and for the Houston team and for Kelvin Sampson, who, if you look at him on the sidelines in that moment, stoic. absolutely stoic, watching the dream drift away so fleetingly. And instead, Florida gets the ball and Florida wins. And congratulations to Florida for coming back down 12. But my primary focus last night was, oh, poor Houston. As someone who didn't have a dog in the fight, I watched that game thinking, I cannot imagine much more painful ways to lose if you were Houston.
I went to sleep because I believe in sleep, and then woke up and was like, okay, let's watch this game. And in watching the game, I was like, oh my gosh, Houston is doing whatever they want defensively. Like, this is really high-level defense. And then I got curious. It's like, okay, I wonder how this game ends. And hopped online and immediately found out, oh, Florida ends up winning this? How? How in the hell does that happen? That was the style of play that Houston wanted to play. It was not up and down. Houston was 33-0 on the season when holding the opponent to under 70 points. Make that 33-1 now. From tip to tail, it felt to me like Houston was the better team entirely, and Florida just found a way to hang around and stick around. Another one of those large comebacks for the Florida Gators in this tournament. Like, tip of the cap to them. I left that game, and through large portions of that game, I thought to myself, yo, if I'm a coach, be it the second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, middle school, high school, NAIA, D3, D2, D1, if I'm a basketball coach, I'm putting that game on. We're going to have a practice where all we do is sit down and watch this basketball game, because that's the physicality I want you to play with. That's the urgency on the defensive side of the ball I want you to play with. That's the intensity I want you to play with. That's the fortitude when things aren't going your way. Things are snowballing for Florida. They're down 12. They can't get anything. Their best player is over from the field. They're getting pushed around. They're getting bullied. That's how you meet the moment. That's how you meet the physicality if you're the Florida Gators. That's what you do there. And that's what I want my teams to do. And then with Clayton Jr. playing poorly, let me say this. He was getting assists, right? He was making the right decisions with the basketball, but that defense clearly was bothering him. Houston said, hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us driving the ball. And Clayton Jr. just could not do that. But when it mattered, 3 minutes left in the game, he rises up for his first, and I think only made 3. I think my man was like 1 for 7, 1 for 8 from the field, and he made the 3. Like, that's the type of stuff. You don't have to be perfect to win championships. What you have to be, though, is a competitor, is a fighter, is somebody who's not going to shrink in the moment. And the Florida Gators did all of those things.
And Walter Clayton ends up being your most outstanding player of the Final Four.
And he
makes
be.
the defensive play at the end. He actually made the last 2 defensive plays. He started with the one where the Houston player gets it to bounce off his leg, and then ultimately
that was sharp again.
Sharp with the 2
that
plays
was sharp
there.
Again.
But I agree. That 3 from Walter Clayton, and we talked about it yesterday, in that moment is why there was no player in this tournament that I wanted with the ball in his hands more than Walter Clayton, because despite not being able to do nearly anything, 0 points at halftime. He ends with 11 points in the game. He had 8 before he hit that giant 3. He's just all vibes, man. That is the Walter Clayton experience. I have enjoyed watching him flourish in this tournament. And from Florida's perspective, like, they took Houston's defense, they took that calling card and flipped it into their own advantage. And for a Florida team that relied so heavily on its offense to get them to the national championship game, and then to be able to say, well, defense wins championships, we're going to flip the script, we can match that physicality. I will say the difference of how the officials called the first half of that game and the second half of that game did not favor Houston at all. Truly, it was 2 differently called games. They let them do everything in the first half. And I remember saying out loud, oh, this level of officiating, this style of officiating bodes well for Houston, because Houston can be as physical as they want. Only 4 total fouls called in the first half of that game. And I don't know how many we ended with by the end of the night, but at some point they had 17 in the second half, which is a ridiculous difference. Neither is correct. Like, you shouldn't have 4 fouls called in a half. You shouldn't have 17 fouls called in a half. There should be something in between. But they went from letting them play full physical fight night style to being like, oh, this is a tea party. Nobody can touch anyone.
Yeah, because Florida was shrinking. Florida was
You still can't call it differently.
Yes, that Florida made them call it differently. Florida, when you are the more athletic team and you are the more physical team, you're able to do things that the other team can't do, because you can do that without fouling. Florida in the second half made a concerted effort. Okay, if Houston's going to play us this way, we're going to start playing back that way. And to keep control of the game, the refs started calling fouls.
I would
They
argue
weren't
that Florida
fouling.
played that way in the first half of the game.
Florida had 7 turnovers from what dudes just being scared.
Both teams they were early on. It was a messy start to the game too.
It was a messy
Houston
start.
was in control.
Houston was missing shots. Florida was
Everything.
turning the ball
Yeah.
over because every time they looked up, there was a Houston defender that they didn't realize was there, and they got scared and they got startled. And I forget the big man's name, Condon.
Condon.
Big white boy for Florida was scared.
Condon.
I don't want to say scared. He was startled every single time he touched the ball because somebody was running by him. I don't think Houston fouled more in the first half or fouled at a different level in the first half than they did in the second half. What happened was Florida decided, okay, if we can play physical, we're going to play physical, and that forced the refs to make calls.
But I would argue that they were calling way more fouls on Houston early than Florida early in that second half. I'd have to go back and look at it at this point. Like, it felt as if they were trying to change the tone set with Houston. Like, hey, we let you play too physical.
Florida changed the tone.
Sure.
The refs did call fouls on Florida more so we're talking second half now.
Yes.
In the second half to start, because Florida was like, F it. We're just going to throw dudes. We're going to hit dudes in the neck. That's what we're going to have to do out here to try and win. Otherwise, we're just going to be overwhelmed by the physicality. The refs started calling those fouls. And then Houston, instead of continuing to play the way that they played in the first half, then they tried to match Florida's over-physicality with over-physicality of their own. And that's when the fouls started getting called. Florida got into Houston's head in a way from a physical sense that not very many teams had been able to do all season long. Houston was like, give me your ball. And Florida's like, okay, you can have it. Oh my gosh, where did you come from? Then in the second half, Houston was like, Florida, give me your ball. And Florida's like, no, it's mine. You can't have it.
Really
you can't have it. No. And that's what leads to the fouls being called. In one half, Houston said, give me that. Florida gave it to him. The second half, Houston said, give me that. Florida said, no. And they're athletic enough, strong enough. They were mentally tough enough with their basketball to then, when they said no, Houston did end up fouling them. Like that was the case. I forgot. So first half, Houston said, give me your ball. Florida said, okay, you can have it. Second half, Florida said, catch this, elbow to the face. And the rest were like, whoa, we can't have that stuff happening. And then Houston was like, okay, Florida, give me your ball. And Florida's like, no, it's mine.
It was one of those games that was so ugly it was fun. That's all right. It's okay. I'll call a foul on it at this point. But it was such a fun turn. Like, first of all, how Florida came back to win 4 of their 6 games. They were down in 4 of their 6 games in March Madness and came back. So, like, they had the comeback nature to them. But then when you even look at just how the Final Four played out in the 3 games between the 2 semifinals and the national championship game last night, I don't think we have ever. I don't want to say definitively because you just never know. I would highly doubt that we have ever had a Final Four where all 3 games, the team leading at the final TV timeout, lost the game. I don't think we've ever seen that before. So even in a game last night that was certainly not the prettiest product of basketball, and sure, ended with one of the ugliest endings to a game that we have ever seen, it was wildly entertaining. I mean, I had a lot of FOMO from San Antonio. It would have been awesome to be at those games because I can't imagine. We'll ask Gary Parrish. I think he's coming on the show tomorrow, but he has been to like 20 plus straight Final Fours. I would be curious if that was the best set of 3 games that he has ever seen. So congratulations to the Florida Gators. Come out of the SEC, who had the greatest college basketball season for a conference that we have ever seen. We talked about Kelvin Sampson's Toy Poodle League comments yesterday. I guess the SEC ultimately was, what do we call them, the Rottweiler League?
I thought, weren't they the Great Dane?
Or they were the Great Dane
weren't
League?
They the big dog league?
Who did we give the Rottweiler League title to?
I think we gave it to Michigan State. Not Michigan State, the Big Ten. Yeah.
Well, that's because we're biased.
I mean, listen, another year has come and gone, and there's not a Big Ten champion. The Zach Edey and Purdue never won one, did they?
No.
Yeah, how long has it been since the Big Ten? I think it's the.
Well, this was the SEC's first win since Florida. No, since Kentucky the Anthony Davis Kentucky team in 2012. This was Florida's obviously first win since the Billy Donovan back-to-back years.
I think the Big Ten's last, I'll double check that. I think their last championship was whenever Michigan State won it with the Flintstones. Yeah, man, it just because things play out the way that we think that they should based on who we think is good doesn't mean that the season wasn't a good, fun, exciting, exhilarating season, right? Like we had 4 1 seeds in the Final Four. This was the tournament with the fewest amount of upsets, I think, or tied for the fewest amount of upsets heading into the Final Four with 12, I do believe. And we ended up with 2 of the best teams out there. You can argue the 2 best teams out there competing, and the better team won. The SEC was dominant all season long, and you looked up, they had how many in the Elite Eight? 7 in the Elite Eight? Not 7. 7 in the Sweet 16.
7 Sweet 16.
7 Sweet 16. 5 in the Elite Eight. You had 2 in the Final Four, and your national champion is from the SEC. And that did not take away for me, my viewing experience, how much fun this damn tournament was. It was a great tournament, and why I love college basketball. Like this is the only reason I love college basketball.
Me too.
College
basketball will come back in October, and I won't pay attention to it until March.
About mid-January, it's like, okay, I'm perking up. February, I'm there. And then
Post
March,
Super Bowl, I'm in.
Let's go.
Once we get through football season, I'm in. Vance pointed out the past 3 years, all college basketball titles have been determined between either the SEC or UConn. That's a crazy stat. From the women's side, because you had LSU, South Carolina, and then UConn this year. And then the men's side, you had 2 years of UConn and now Florida. So it's the SEC and UConn taking care of all portions of the college basketball national championship space. UConn to the SEC.
Get up in that northeastern market.
I just want to know. I want to know where Sasquatch State is going to end up. That's my curiosity.
The Pac-12.
It's the only way forward. I wouldn't be the only woman on Grind City Media without pointing out it does cap off a complicated year for Todd Golden, the head coach at Florida, who did become the youngest head coach to win his first national championship since Jimmy V, and now Todd Golden at 39. I would just call it a tough year. I think I just used the word complicated. Complicated feels right because there were all those allegations that were brought up against Todd Golden from I believe it first started with the University of Florida student paper, who rang the alarm on the allegations from a various number of students, female students at Florida, who accused Todd Golden of stalking them, I believe one of them even used the word grooming from a standpoint of starting a relationship and it felt fine, and then one day it was like, oh God, why is this man sending me these pictures? The university ultimately cleared Todd Golden of all those allegations, so that is what occurred from the university side, and he kept his job, and he goes from Title IX allegations to one shining moment. Like, that's sports, baby. This is what we do. And so that is a piece of the story for Todd Golden. Ultimately, he built a hell of a roster. He probably used the transfer portal in a way that we will look at as, like, that's how you do it. I think this was the first time since the 80s that there wasn't a single freshman who played last night, which is crazy, as considering like where we've been in the one and done space and just the nature of college basketball, to then have all transfers all over the place. So this Florida team could be back. That Houston team could be back. Kelvin Sampson at age 70 could be fighting for another national championship next year. It's just so hard.
Building programs is different. You used to do it with freshmen, then you did it with one and dones, and now you're doing it in the transfer portal. Some people just know ball. Some people can just coach, and Kelvin Sampson is one of those people. Shout out to what's my man's name? Elijah Martin. Played at San Diego State, lost in the Final Four in 2023. He got a nice redemption story. It's a bunch of those types of things popping off on this Florida Gators team because they have so many transfers on roster. And that would have been somebody, because everybody is out here coveting, wanting to grab one of those types of players out of the portal. I forgot that Cryer was on the Baylor national championship team. Right, so he could have won back-to-back. Not back-to-back. He could have won 2 championships for 2 different teams as well. So, yeah, I enjoy the transfer portal era of college sports. Go out there and get the best players you can, put them together, and let's make it work. Yeah.
I know we have to get to Mike. I did have one question I wanted to ask you before we wrap up this conversation. Did you see how Walter Clayton went over to Emmanuel Sharp as Emmanuel Sharp was like collapsed in the pain of losing, and Walter Clayton was trying to console him for a moment? I think they do.
Okay,
I think they come from the same area, so you're cool with it. As long as they have some sort of a history.
I'm cool with it if he's cool with it. 1, 2. From a personal standpoint, if you and I were separated, right, and we're on competing sides of some sort of national championship, whatever, and I have back-to-back mistakes that cost my team a championship, and you wanted to come over to me and say, hey, come on, it's all right, you played a hell of a game, blah, blah, whatever, I'd allow you to do it, right? I know you. We have a relationship. Yes. If it was Jacob, I don't know him. He could not come over to me and pat me on the back. I'd be furious. I'd get away from me. I know people are going to say this is sportsmanship and this is what we do this all
I agree.
for.
You need the context.
But like, if it's somebody I don't know, you cannot come up and holler at me after I cost my team a game, or even if I just flat out lose, you can't come up there and holler at me. I'm not Joel Embiiding this thing.
They both grew up in the same county.
So yeah, then they know each other.
So they know each other.
If they grew up in the same county and they're,
I think that's fine.
If
but
they
I
grew
do
up
understand.
in the same county and they're both at the national championship, like they knew each other in that county. They probably ran summer hoops and maybe did some AAU stuff and probably showed up at the same functions. Yeah, that's fine.
I am like sportsmanship. Pass it on. Was that the ad?
Yes.
Right. Sportsmanship. Pass it on. I always was like, yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I saw that moment without knowing that Clayton and Sharp had history. And I was like, if I was Sharp in that situation, I'd be like, get the hell away from me. This is not what we want. Context matters. All right, we got to talk to Mike Wallace. It is a Grizzlies game day. It is a crazy situation in the Western Conference with all these teams fighting for positioning basically 3 through 8. The Grizzlies will start that quest tonight. Our chat question of the day: what will the Grizzlies' record be through the last 4 games of the season? We got some, I thought we had more optimistic people than we do. CJ ordered these really weirdly. 2-2 has 44%. Why would you put
what's weird about
0-4 or 1-3, which also combining those two, I get why you had to do it. But then it goes 3-1, and then it goes 2-2. So I assumed that the majority was voting for 3-1, but then I read the chart.
Gotta read the answer choices. I'm keeping
Critical
everybody
thinking.
up on their standardized testing.
Media literacy.
We're getting ready for the standardized test.
All right, 44% you think 2-2. Vote on that. Be sure to like today's show as well on YouTube. Mike Wallace when we come back.
Touched on this earlier, the panel here, about what really has been the mainstay of the Grizzlies, and that's Jaren Jackson Jr. Trip has just been awesome.
He's posting guys up. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's physical, and he's scoring all type of ways.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizz Beat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
The new issue of Slam, the cover dropped, and it is our friend Jaren Jackson Jr. on the cover.
And shout out to you, Lane.
Yeah.
You kept, well, I mean, we knew about it, but you kept this a secret the whole time.
Yeah.
So shout out to you for
I
putting
wrote
this
this story.
together.
We did the photo shoot a couple weeks ago here on a Sunday afternoon in the practice court. The Sneak Fest show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Debo traded from San Francisco to the Commanders for a 5th round pick. There's no other sport where you would get a player of his ilk for a 5th round pick.
Over under total yards for Debo. If they set it at 1,000, you think he hits that over?
Total yards?
Total yards from scrimmage, total yards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Welcome back. It is Tuesday. That means it's time to catch up with Grind City Media senior editor Mike Wallace. Mike, welcome from Charlotte. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
It's a sunny day, nice, beautiful day out here. I'm glad to be back on the saddle again, covering this team for sure.
Before we get into all things Grizzlies, I do have a question for you because last night watching the national championship game, all of a sudden I saw that there were 2 NBA games being played, and I thought we didn't play NBA games on National Championship Monday. What was different this year?
You know what? I thought so too. Because I know in previous years they hadn't played on that day, and when I saw those 2 games, I felt like maybe those were scheduled or rescheduled because of weather. Or some issues that had happened earlier in the season, with the winter storms. So they used that day as sort of a makeup day for a couple of games, and I think that was what the rationale for those 2 games were. But yeah, the NBA has moved away from playing on national championship game day as well as election night. So those are the 2 nights that they don't usually schedule games.
And yet they still play on Super Bowl Sunday, and it always blows my mind. But alas, that is where
they're encroaching on it now. The NBA is playing on Christmas Day, and so it's a little bit of a tug of war between the 2 main leagues right there when it comes to those dates, those key dates.
Well, the games played last night were teams fighting for their play-in tournament spot, with the Kings beating the Pistons 127-117 and the Heat beating the Sixers 117-105. But the Heat are in the 10 spot in the East and the Kings are in the 9 spot in the West. So there is some potential jockeying between the Kings and the Mavs in that 9-10 race. But everything else is all eyes on this race in the Western Conference, where you have 6 teams still alive for the 8 seed. You have 7 teams still technically alive for the 2 seed. Grizzlies in the mix, or the 3 seed. The 2 seed is between the Rockets and the Lakers. The 3 seed is the 7 teams that are still in the mix. The Grizzlies are in the mix for both. So the Grizzlies could finish as high as 3rd. The Grizzlies could finish as low as 8th. You are at least guaranteed 2 play-in tournament games if you're the Memphis Grizzlies, because either you're playing in the 7-8 game and you're winning and you're moving on and playing the first game in a playoff matchup, or if you lost that 7-8 game, you would be playing the winner of the 9-10 game. When you look at how this can all shake out, what stands out to you the most as it pertains to Memphis going into this last week of the regular season?
Just that, despite everything that's gone on, despite everything that sort of slipped off the table in the second half of the season, this team is still in contention for a home court advantage seed in the first round, right? I mean, you have 5 teams in the West from 3 through 8th tied with 32 losses in the schedule right now. Denver only has a half-game lead on 3, and everybody's in action tonight. So by the time we get through tonight's games, that whole 3 through 8 order could shift again. And Denver certainly is playing like they want to give up that three. And the Grizzlies, have been playing recently until, last couple games, like they wanted to fall as far back as possible. And yet, despite everything that's gone on, everybody's still in contention. I think Scott Zachary, our broadcast director, shared an email yesterday that said 19 out of the 20 seeds in the play-in and playoffs are still technically up for grabs. The only thing that's secure is Oklahoma City as the number one in the West. Even Cleveland, despite how great they've been, Boston can still technically catch them for the number one seed in the East with a handful of games left. So there's a lot to be playing for right now, and it's an exciting time, whether you're watching the NBA or covering it like we get a chance to do every single night.
Yeah, when you look at the other teams in action tonight, the Timberwolves play the Bucks. The Lakers play the Thunder, and we just saw the Lakers beat the Thunder over the weekend with OKC rolling with all their guys. The Warriors get a break with Phoenix, who I killed the Phoenix Suns months ago, and then it was like, oh, not so fast. But no, they're dead. Yeah. Like Kevin Durant, the ankle injury, this just isn't happening. And KD's not playing tonight against the Warriors. And then the Clippers are playing the Spurs, and the Spurs are not playing winning basketball at this moment either. So if you're the Grizzlies, you just have to win this game. Like, you cannot get caught overlooking Charlotte, and a Charlotte team that shut down LaMelo Ball, a Charlotte team that has won just 19 games this season. We've seen the Grizzlies let one go that they should have won fairly recently in that game against the Portland Trailblazers. What gives you confidence that where they sit right now, that they will be able to pick up their, what will it be, third straight win and go 3-0 on this road trip before coming home for this critical game against the Timberwolves Thursday?
Yeah, like you said, Jess, you can't take anything for granted at this point because what Charlotte will have is a bunch of guys fighting to stay in the NBA, right? A lot of their G League guys, a lot of their marginal NBA guys, end of the rotation kind of guys that want to get out there, sprinkled with a couple of their rotation guys. So you don't want to take that for granted from that standpoint. But if you're the Grizzlies, you need to just show up and get a professional win. It doesn't have to look great. You don't have to beat them by 20, although many other teams have beaten the Charlotte team by 20 in this iteration of themselves. But, you just, number one, avoid injury. Number two, get the win. Number three, get back on the plane and get home, get some rest, because the last 3 games are played in such a truncated schedule that you're going to need all of the energy that you can just to maintain and get to the finish line here. So I think that's what I'm looking for from the Grizzlies tonight. A great start, put this team away early, get up by 20 or so, and then go to your bench or your extended bench guys to get them some run. So Ja, Jaren, Dez, Zach Edey, those guys don't have to take on enormous minutes like that. That's the goal.
I know that the Grizzlies right now, it's just like a 1-0 mentality, or by all means a 4-0 mentality over these last 4. You don't really have the luxury of matchup hunting when you're situated in a position like this, and so much can shake out that's in your control in winning the 4 ahead of you, but out of your control in how the teams around you are performing as well. Is there any team right now, though, as we sit here, because this is our last time catching up with you, by the time we talk to you next Tuesday, the playoffs will be set. Is there a team you've identified as perhaps the team you would most like to see the Grizzlies face, if they even make it out of the play-in tournament and naturally just fit into that first round off the bat?
With the 2 teams that, and again, you're cherry picking for teams that are struggling or teams that really had some slippage. And the 2 teams that stand out to me, and certainly they haven't struggled, they're going to have the easiest schedule down the stretch, is you want Minnesota and you want Denver. Those are the 2 teams that, number one, Minnesota hadn't figured out a way to beat you in a clutch game. It seems like since forever. Even when you played them in the playoffs, they found a way to lose games down the stretch a couple years ago. And then 2 games this season against Minnesota, you won by 1 basket, 2 points in both of them, because Anthony Edwards took a crazy shot at the end, a contested 3. And, so you feel like you have Minnesota's number just because they don't match up as well with you. And then Denver right now is just, they seem like something is off with them as they're getting towards the playoffs right now. They're not that dominant team that they've been for longer stretches this season. So those 2 teams are the teams you want to try to line up with, whether that's the 4-5, if you can get the 4-5 and get Denver. But certainly, you're not going to, only way you're going to play Minnesota right now is if, it ends up in a 7-8 game to secure that number 7 seed. So we'll see how it goes, but those are the teams that you match up more ideally with going down that stretch. And you play both of them in the regular season on a back-to-back. So you'll have a chance to see both of those guys at the end of this week.
Man, it is so brutal. The 8:30 tip time, TNT I said it yesterday. I think it's the case. It's the final regular season TNT NBA game of the TNT era for the NBA between the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. But then to have to hop on a plane and go face the Denver Nuggets the next night is a tough stretch. This 3-game road trip, it was interesting. The team chose to come back and practice in Memphis yesterday before flying to Charlotte for tonight's game against the Hornets. That did give them an opportunity to practice, and that does feel like a luxury for a team that's playing under an interim head coach during this stretch. But I'm curious what you saw from that practice, Mike, and how you overall have viewed this first week of the interim head coach Tuomas Iisalo era for the Grizzlies.
You know, you really have to commend Tuomas for the way that he communicates. You know, he's himself. He's not trying to be something different now that he's moved over one chair. I asked him at practice yesterday, I said, it's only a couple of inches that separate the number 1 seat from the number 2 seat that you've been in, but there's a gulf in terms of responsibilities between those 2 seats. And, you know, what have you sort of, you know, kind of adjusted to most? What's been the biggest hurdle that you've had to climb? And he said the basketball part, you know, has been simple. You know, you continue to communicate in the simplest fashion possible. You listen and you hear what these guys feel comfortable with, and then you adjust your strategy around what they're comfortable with because you want to get them to execute. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. But what he did say is the media obligations, you know, stepping up in one more oversight role where you're responsible for the entire culture more so than just your lane. He said that takes some getting used to because of the time and the scheduling that goes into all of those things. Meeting with the front office almost on a daily basis. Those are things that the assistant staff doesn't have to do. So, you know, those are things. Time management is his biggest thing, but he still says he values getting sleep. He still values, you know, doing things the right way and always having eye contact with his main guys and the guys that are in front of him. And that's what he's trying to do right now to get to the finish line here and then see what happens in the playoffs.
One of the biggest direct changes, I should say, other than the fact that the Grizzlies have won 2 games in a row at this point and been competitive, has been the play of Zach Edey. And I will again commend you. It was this time last year as we were coming out of the Purdue-UConn national championship game, and you and CJ and I had a small disagreement on the future of Zach Edey in the NBA. And here we see Zach Edey, a starter for a Memphis Grizzlies team that does have an opportunity to secure home court advantage in the playoffs, and coming off of a 21 rebound night against the Detroit Pistons. I know the Pistons without Jalen Duren, it's a different situation, and Edey perhaps has been able to take advantage of some teams with lesser size in these big rebounding numbers that have come out, but it's also been a change in what we've seen from Zach Edey, and strategically it feels like from how he's been deployed in these previous few games. You had the chance to chat with him yesterday. What has stood out to you as he continues to evolve at this point in his rookie season?
You know, just his comfort. Like now maybe it's this time of year because with Purdue, he's been used to getting, you know, into the tournament and putting up some big numbers. And, you know, as a matter of fact, you know, I joke with him that the last time he had a 20 rebound game was against my Grambling State Tigers in the tournament last year in the first round, you know, when he went for 30 and 20. And, you know, so the thing about Zach, though, what he's getting is extended minutes and opportunities. You know, his playing time has increased by almost 5 minutes a game, you know, in these last 5 since Iisalo has taken over. So, you know, he's starting games and he's also in the finishing rotation now. And that's not just a difference in terms of the head coaching changing philosophy, but it's also because somebody was going to have to step up in those Brandon Clark minutes. Somebody was going to have to be able to be another big down the stretch that you can depend on and rely on. So part of it is philosophy, yes. Iisalo is giving, you know, Zach Edey a lot longer leash, more rope to make mistakes and then to recover and to stay in the game. But he's also benefiting from the fact that the Grizzlies are small on the front line without one of their key perimeter defenders, switchable defenders in the paint, with Brandon Clark being gone for the season. So, you know, Zach has talked about the confidence. Those things have always been there. Now he's just getting the opportunity and the trust to build on that confidence. And that's why you're seeing him put up increased numbers across the board. His field goal shooting percentage is 62% in the last 5 games. You know, his rebounding is off the charts. His assists have doubled. You know, his blocks have doubled. Like, so he's getting that productive push right now in these last 5.
Before I let you go, John Morant was a late scratch in the game against the Pistons with food poisoning-like symptoms. There has been something going on, and if you know somebody who has had what has been going around, it doesn't sound like it's a whole lot of fun. So hopefully he's feeling better. I know Tuomas Iisalo said that their expectation is for him to be available tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. Coming off all of the extracurricular conversations around Ja and the fine that he received, the $75,000, a big fine from the NBA, the game winner against the Miami Heat. What would you like to see from Ja as we approach these final 4 games of the regular season and this continued notion that this team goes as far as their superstar point guard goes?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't require much from Ja tonight. It really shouldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, if this were a back-to-back, I would almost give him another night off tonight, and then, you know, you go play Denver from here, which is or Minnesota if it was the next game tomorrow. But in this one, get back on the court, get your rhythm. Be you. Like, you know, that's the thing. Nobody, and at least me, I'm not asking Ja to be anything other than, you know, himself, and whatever it takes to psych himself up, to get himself to his best game, do all of those things. But also be mindful that you carry a different burden and a different level of blessing as a superstar in this league, as a face of a franchise. So, you know, keep it within the limits of reasonable. You know, be reasonable with that kind of stuff, but you know, do your celebrations, man. Do the gritty, do the things that make you. And no one is asking him not to be that. So, you know, I want to see him healthy. I want to see him, you know, basically driven to lead this team, because he's been on an absolute tear in the last 14 games that he's played. When you look at the games that he's played, he's averaging almost 30 points a game over the last 14. And, you know, that kind of stretch and that kind of tear right there is what you want Ja to be on going into the playoffs for sure.
I saw Sean Coleman with the stat that Ja has 302 points over his last 10 games and is the 22nd time a Grizzlies player has averaged 30 points over any 10 games regular season stretch in franchise history. Ja Morant has done it all 22 times. So,
man, Sean Coleman is a treasure. He is a treasure when it comes to.
Just when you think, I wonder if there's a stat for that. Sean Coleman always has a stat for that, and I always appreciate it. Mike, we'll catch up with you. Enjoy tonight's game. We'll see you when the Grizzlies are back in town on Thursday.
Absolutely. See you guys in a couple days.
All right. That was Mike Wallace. You can read his latest mic check up at grindcitymedia.com. And do not forget to sign up at grindcitymedia.com. You can get the mic check delivered directly to your email inbox. Newsletters are the hot thing. You can get Mike's writing every time it comes out, just straight to your inbox. Go to grindcitymedia.com for all that information. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Will Coleman is going to join us. We'll wrap up the college basketball seasons conversation with Will, his thoughts on last night's national championship game, some of the players that stood out throughout the tournament. Also, the Tigers are in the thick of the transfer portal recruiting season. We'll get all that with Will when we come back.
Overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 Tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With special guests 3 doors down. And Mammoth WVH. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Creed returns, the Summer of '99 Tour.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Anticipate each challenge. Make a quick response. Capitalize on every opportunity. And win. Greatness won't wait. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Tony was the defensive guy, but Zebo was the offensive guy. So you could speak to this. It's way worse when you're getting doubled, right?
You got triple. I had went through that for it. When I was in Portland, me on the team, you got triple. You hear me, Rose? You can't talk about those. You got to talk about triples.
You got triple team.
This man was scoring on 3 dudes.
Swing, TA.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I see people who look like me and were born probably in the same decade as me, watching all of these young people jump into the transfer portal and saying, it's ridiculous. You got to stop thinking about this like it's a normal college experience. It is not. You know what the priority is? Maximize your earning potential for every year of eligibility you have left. That's what this is about now. These are jobs.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
In honor of George Foreman, decided to do a pick 6 on 6 greatest heavyweight boxers of all time.
Number 4, my guy, Mike Tyson. There is no greater feat that I've had. Like if I had my Mount Rushmore of things that I've accomplished in my life, the very first time I beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson Punch-Out.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
All right, welcome back. It's Tuesday. That means it's time to catch up with former Memphis Tiger Will Coleman, and he is giddy. He is bursting at the seams. He has brought us
Yes, sir! Hey!
CJ, you already broke the mic.
Let's
If
do
you cannot
this!
break the door. All right, what do we got, Will?
We're going to get into some basketball. But first, we're going to talk important. You know,
You brought a cooler.
Man, okay, we're going to get into it. All right, so first, we got the appetizer.
Okay. Oh my God. You brought us a 3-course meal.
We got the appetizers. The lime, the henna lime Tostino is going to hit real good with what I got, okay?
Okay.
With the lime.
Okay.
So I got the lime chips, right?
Okay.
Man, you might break.
Go get a
so
couple plates.
the app, we got it. He might need it. You're going to need a spoon. We got the cowboy queso dip.
Oh.
Okay? We got the cowboy queso dip.
Oh my
that thing
God.
just, we need to stir that up. That thing.
What do we got? Some meat in there? Some beans
we got
in
some
there,
meat,
some peppers
black
in there.
beans. That's
Okay.
crazy. That just smells scrumptious, dude.
Oh, it smells so good.
Next, we got this man CJ, bro.
It's out of control.
Next, we got
Chicken
some sliders, some bourbon peach barbecue sliders with the Swiss cheese.
I love Swiss cheese.
With the Swiss cheese on it, okay?
Okay.
All right, we got some of those, and this right here.
So that's our entree.
Here we go. Then right here, this
Oh
what
my
we bring it home. Oh, Nikes. Right here, we got some strawberry cheesecake parfaits.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Right up in here.
You brought
Right
us a
up in here.
3-course meal.
3-course meal, baby.
Chef
3-course
Will.
meal. 3-course meal. Everybody get one. Me,
This is
you, and
crazy.
CJ. Everybody get one.
So this is where I tell the people, as I told you as you were coming in, I'm in dire straits at the moment. I have to fast for a doctor's appointment that I have later today, so I cannot eat until 1 o'clock.
Me and CJ
I am
eat for you.
surviving on water, black coffee, and a prayer. But I am going to be taking this all home. I'm going to take it with me to the doctor's office. I'm going to put it in a little lunchbox cooler of my own. I'm going to put it in my bag. And the second they do all the blood work that they need to do, I'm going to start eating. And you know what? It's going to smell up the doctor's office, and they're going to be grateful for it.
Yeah,
I
be
think.
grateful for
but
it.
this is maybe the most painful thing. Like, greatness won't be denied. I'll have it eventually.
Yes.
But right now, this smells so good, and CJ is about to.
He's probably gonna do something.
I
He's
don't
gonna
know
be a
what he's
butthole
gonna
and like
do.
eat it right in your face.
Yes.
As he runs in here as
I mean, he's going to inhale.
Naruto.
That's Naruto. All right, while CJ starts serving, before we get the inevitable CJ.
I'm gonna break bread with you
loud
today, CJ. Since Jessica can't.
You watched that game last night?
I did watch the second consecutive choke of the
tournament.
It
was crazy.
Yeah,
almost. It's obviously not exactly the same because different circumstances. But after watching that happen to Duke via Houston, and then for it to happen to Houston in a pretty similar manner, where they just couldn't do anything. Just like Houston's defense suffocated Duke, one of the best offenses we've seen. Florida's defense matched the intensity of Houston's defense and turned it into a situation where Houston's just bumbling over their last 4 possessions. And ultimately, Florida gets the win. What did you make of the final possession, though? Because some are calling it one of the worst ends to a basketball game that we've ever seen.
I mean, I think that just comes with IQ and thinking of, what's happening in that moment. But, there's a lot of people who's like, why not just jump into the guy? Why not just jump into, Walter and get the foul call or whatever case may be? But I think that's what we saw on TV. But I think the angle, let's just talk about how athletic the closeout was. Because the play that Sampson drew up was amazing. It was a nice pin down to get the shooter open. They was going for the win. So
I just think considering how poorly they had shot from 3 in that game, you go for the tie. You don't need a 3. You just need a 2.
I'm with you. But Sampson felt otherwise. I was surprised, too. I'm like, why not just go for the lay? The bigs have been carrying that team through that whole game. Why not just try and get an inside look and just...
Oh, my God, that looks so good. I'm salivating. I might simply pass away as this experience goes on. Yeah, but it was tough. And Sharp had the last 2 turnovers for Houston, too.
Yeah.
They just fell apart. I would have loved to see either Sharp, and Sampson talked about it after the game, like pump fake, get to the basket, or draw up something for Cryer. Like at the end of the day, that's your best player, and you put the ball in the play, and a player who's already won, and he's been on a roster of a team that's won a national championship. Just giving yourself, the tournament is so great and so heartbreaking because it is, at the end of the day, there's a randomness to it, right? Like it's a single elimination. Every game, you're either moving on or you're out, and once you get to the national championship game, there can only be one, and you get to a late game situation, you just want to increase your odds as much as possible, and Houston didn't do that.
Yeah. And I think I think one thing I love about basketball is that I take little things, or I like to look at little things, and I may be making them way bigger than they are, but the actual reach in by Reichert, after he'd been getting picked on all game, I mean, he was in foul trouble. He's playing very aggressive, but the riskiness that it took, and I mean, just be blank the size of the cojones you had to have for that final reach in to cause that turnover, because they very well could have called a foul, got the possession, and I think they were in the double bonus at that time. I mean, that could have blew the game.
Yeah.
They could have had the free throws, went up 3 or 4 at that point, and then it was 30 seconds left, 40 seconds left. And I mean, that was very risky on this part, but I mean, big time players make big time plays, and that defensive effort got them the ball to get to go back down the court and do what they had to do.
As a Memphis fan, do you find joy watching Houston lose?
I only found the joy only because of obviously everybody's up in arms about what Sampson said, calling the previous league a toy poodle league.
You think he was calling the AAC toy poodle league?
Easily.
We think he was calling the collective of any league not named the Big 12 or the SEC or the Big 10 a collection of toy poodle leagues, but you took it personally.
Yeah, I think he was talking personally about our league, but you can only appreciate greatness, right? Because he's done a phenomenal job at that school. I mean, has turned it into a powerhouse, like without a doubt. But and what you've seen is consistency. A lot of people can say, oh, he lost here, but this man gets to the tournament every year, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four. Like, it's consistency. He can come up short and call it losses, but the man has been consistent, and there's nothing you can say about that.
It's the nuance of the, do they have a championship, yes or no question.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Caitlin Clark fans were really mad at me yesterday. I hate when I get on the bad side of Caitlin Clark
cheese
fans.
and the chips.
Cheesecake behind me. But I was pointing out how, no matter what, Caitlin Clark can never say that she won a national championship. Does that take away from everything that she did? Absolutely not. She's one of the most impactful. She could go down as by the end of this, she could be the greatest women's basketball player of all time. She could be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But she never won a championship.
Yeah.
And that's just how we talk about sports. And then someone was like, we have to build. And I was like, I'm a woman. I love building up other women. But if I can't talk about women's sports like I talk about men's sports, like what are we doing here? The same thing goes for Kelvin Sampson, though. He doesn't have one. And that's not to say Houston won't get back next year. And he was 69 this year, he'll be 70 next year. There's a consistency level with him.
Right.
You can talk about it from, yes, the fact of the matter is he has not won one. However, he did get Houston to multiple Final Fours.
Yeah.
And there is a beauty in what he's done in turning around that program and making it one of the most consistent programs in the country. They just play so tough. Like CJ talked about showing high school kids, middle school kids, elementary school kids, the tape of how Florida adjusted to the physicality and ultimately made Houston spiral to the point where they lose that game. Like, I'm showing all those kids just how Houston plays.
Yeah.
All the way that they attack offensive rebounding is just one of the most fun things to watch, and has been one of the most fun things to watch in this tournament. The tap back, the rotations, the way that Kelvin Sampson coaches this team is something that is to be celebrated. So yes, he doesn't get one, but I do think there is this level from the Memphis side of things, and it's natural. Like this is what we do in sports. Memphis would kill to be in Houston's shoes right now.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I mean, they got into the Big 12.
For sure.
They've made it to multiple Final Fours. Like, that's the mecca. And to see your prior conference rival, and you throw out another fact, like, I don't think there's been any coach who has consistently beaten Kelvin Sampson over the last handful of years like Penny Hardaway.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the only shot of Memphis in one shining moment last night was a cry shot.
Yeah.
That's all you get. Because they didn't make it out of the first round. So I understand how there can be some just like natural animosity between the two programs, and watching a team fall on their face flat like that.
Yeah.
It could have brought some joy to some Memphis fans last night.
It could have. And there's some people, like you said, there are some people that can easily root for Sampson. There's some people that can say, well, I mean, we've beat Sampson multiple times, so maybe we should be there type of thing. But it just, all in all, and I can't say it enough, or I can't talk about him enough, I just think it shows a testament to how much, how great of a coach Sampson is and how much his players respect him. Because to get people to consistently play like that, in a position to play that hard, I mean, you got to have guys who are ready to just respect and die for their coach, if you will. And those players, they love that dude, man, and they showed it, and they played hard, and it was a joy to see.
Good call on the chips.
CJ, can you rank the 3 things you've eaten?
Yeah. I can go back in the studio and do it if you would like.
Thanks.
I'll
Take your plate of your second helping of the queso. I love queso so much. I can't wait to eat this queso in just a few
I'm a
hours.
giant rodent. I will eat cheese.
Don't talk about yourself that way.
Just to eat cheese. So I will go that queso. You said it's cowboy queso? Giddy up. Yeehaw. There's a snake in my boots. So that's number 1.
Sorry, can't do that anymore. My bad.
We can do these. We can't pull the
well, according to NBA policy, we can actually do anything.
We can't pull out the extendo, so we can do those.
Okay.
That chicken slider, Will, the glaze on it. Oh my word!
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's gonna bring me great joy
and
just a little bit.
So many times my complaint when I eat cheesecakes is there's not enough crust. I need crust in every bite.
I want more crust than cheese.
Yes, but when you do it like that, Will, with the parfait, perfect amount, and you're lucky my tongue isn't long enough. Otherwise, I'd have licked that damn cup clean. If I had an anteater tongue, I'd be all up in there.
Oh, dear God, let's not do that. As you come out of this tournament, who were the players that you looked at, or if there were any, outside of everyone knew going into it, like Cooper Flagg, #1 pick, plant the flag, tank for Flagg, everybody wants a piece of Cooper Flagg. But outside of that, this is where some guys are able to make a name for themselves. And perhaps even guys who weren't expected to be drafted end up being in a position where, well, they played a hell of a tournament. Maybe someone takes a flyer on them. Was there any player for you that kind of fit that bill?
Oh, man.
Like, do you think Walter Clayton could be a pro?
Oh, for sure. I was about to say I was trying to think of somebody other than him, but I've just been so fascinated with his play just throughout the year.
Yeah.
Like, and I mentioned not too long ago, Proctor.
Yep.
He showed up this year. It was a little, he was a little late.
I really, like, of all the people who shot up on I love Walter Clayton from a vibes standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, I hope somebody takes a flyer on him and he ends up proving everybody, like, yes, I do have a place in this league. Knipple for Duke.
Yeah.
Between his size and his shooting, I think has a real natural fit. And if we go back to Memphis's game, Neat Clifford. Like, I know that was a long time ago, and Colorado State falls to Maryland, and perhaps it's Derek King?
Yeah.
Queen. I my brain like twisted.
Yeah.
God, the patriarchy gets me every
Why do you hate
time.
women? My God.
Derek Queen because he has the game winner.
Right.
And like his draft stock, I think he's a projected lottery pick. But I think of how good Neat Clifford was in those two games, and certainly somebody that made a lasting impact throughout the tournament.
Yeah, man. That like you said, Knipple's a great one. Walter, I think he really I just like dude, man. He just can finish with the left or the right, athletic, one-on-one. You can't stay in front of him, athletic. Like, he just, cold, man. That's an NBA point guard, bro.
The all cold stat
Man,
goes far
yeah,
in my
man, he
heart.
cold,
but
bro.
probably won't go as far in an NBA GM's brain, but maybe it sits somewhere. That point guard from BYU, the Russian kid, I thought was tremendous. It was interesting through the course of the tournament. Like, there are a good number of college guys that, and I don't know if I'm just having recency bias, it just felt like more this year than in direct years past, and maybe that's a reflection of the overall #1 pick going to be Cooper Flagg as opposed to someone from overseas.
Yeah, I think people are starting to realize that, and it's getting to a point to where things are starting to shift, right? Where it's like athletics is taking over everything, It used to be, people are looking at academics and stuff like that, but there are people now to where it's like, when you get to a certain age, even with my daughter in volleyball, just any sport, if you don't get to a point to where you're all in and you're training specifically for one sport, you're going to get left behind. I mean, I had a little kid at my gym the other day because, I'm athletic director in the 3rd grade. Buddy was playing like he was on a 6th or 7th grade level. And it's obvious, people keep this man in the gym 24/7. The kid love it, but this go for any sport. Like you said, to your point, yeah, people have always sought out European basketball because of the fundamental aspect from guys from over there. I mean, playing over there, they spend an extreme amount of time on fundamentals to where, us being in America, we rely on a lot of athleticism. Some IQ stuff. There's a lot of players with high IQ in NBA basketball, but in Europe, it's like IQ first and then athleticism. Because it's like, obviously, he's an anomaly. You take him, he's out of this world. Jokic, I mean, he's the least unathletic dude in the league, but position.
Becomes the greatest player in the world.
Yeah, it's like his positioning, the way he see the floor, the way he shoot, the way he pass. This man not running past nobody. He not jumping over anybody, but this is the way they play in Europe. And I think now we're getting to a point to where Americans, like you said, to this point, even in the collegiate, this platform, we're starting to look a little more dominant on both ends as far as athleticism and IQ versus just, guys coming over here with a lot of IQ and being able to put the ball in the hole.
And the whole G League Ignite situation not necessarily being what it was. And it is fun from a future of American basketball perspective to go from Risa Shea last year, Wemby the year before.
Yeah.
But then it was only 3 years ago that it was Paolo Banchero, and before that,
he cold too. Goodness
was there someone
gracious.
between him and Cade? I think Cade Cunningham would have been before him.
Yeah.
Zion, the Zion Jaw draft. So there's still plenty of American talent growing, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Have you followed the transfer portal at all for the Memphis Tigers? Do you follow it, or do you just wait to see how it all turns out?
I kind of wait till the chips fall.
So you don't get excited about someone that ultimately doesn't end up coming?
Because we saw what happened last year. We had a dude here making almost $1 million, and it was some crazy 750, 800. I can't remember. Then the dude takes off. I don't even remember his name. He made me so mad. I think he went to K-State when he left.
You should have brought him some of that cowboy dip.
Man, maybe
that cowboy rotel. He would have stayed for that.
He would have stayed for that.
And I'm pretty sure I saw that kid when I was leaving, because he ended up leaving. There was talks about him leaving. I forget his name also. It's been that long ago, October or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the day of the first game, he decided, nope, I'm out. I'm transferring. And I'm pretty sure I saw him just bopping about from the Peabody.
Yeah, man. It's crazy these days. You almost
Tyreek Smith.
That's what. Yep.
Smith.
You almost need an agent in college now. I mean, you do, especially with all this NIL stuff. You don't know how this stuff work. I mean, you need somebody to represent you at this point. So either a handler or whatever you may have it. But man, it's getting wicked out there with all this stuff, man. So. But to answer your question, I don't keep up with the transfer report. I just, once we get a roster set in stone, then I start doing my homework. Then I get excited and see what we got and go from there.
Well, we'll see how it all pans out. Will, thank you for crushing it, as always. I look forward to having a really great lunch in just a little bit. And plus side, normally when you feed us, I have to go home and take a nap. So at least I'll be able to delay my nap until like 2.
You'll be nice and full.
I'll be nice and full. Will, you're the best. We appreciate you. Chef Will, open a restaurant. We'll support you single-handedly. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do some TV Tuesday. We did get the ratings from this year's Women's Final Four and National Championship game. They were a little surprising, and I think they really speak to just how big of a factor Caitlin Clark was in the women's college basketball space over the last couple of years. We'll get into that. Some final thoughts from the White Lotus finale, what we are watching on television. Some shows come back this week, too. All that when we come back.
Fly by King. Wheels through the lane, now spins back. Ja hangs, puts it in! Oh, what a shot by Morant in the clutch! So hot. Oh, Jerry said no! Because he doesn't put on the play, comes up with a monster block.
Grammy, Academy, and Golden Globe Award-winning superstar, Mary J. Blige, live in Memphis. The For My Fans Tour, live at FedEx Forum Saturday, April 19th, with special guests Neo and Mario. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The iconic Mary J. Blige for one night only.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
I never in a million years would have ever thought that John Cena's final run would be as a heel.
I love it.
I love it.
Once they saw this from The Rock,
they knew it. Everybody knew it except for Cody, which was so good.
Great camera work by WWE.
And then the kick. Yeah, I don't think WWE gets enough credit for the camera work and the production quality. I mean, it is incredible.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
Who's going to be the tougher team that rebounds and prevents second-chance opportunities?
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
back. It is time for a little TV Tuesday. We got the ratings of this year's Women's National Championship game. UConn, South Carolina, third most watched women's title game in women's college basketball history. 8.5 million viewers. That number peaked at 9.8 million. Third most watched game in history, which is great, but it also makes it absolutely insane to look back at the numbers from the previous two Final Fours where it was Caitlin Clark and Iowa, and even though they didn't win, when you look at the numbers that those games drew, Iowa-UConn this year, Iowa-UConn semifinal game last year drew 14.4 million. NC State, South Carolina, even got the residuals of that, drew 7.2 million. The semifinal games for this year, UConn UCLA drew 4.1 million. South Carolina Texas drew 3.6 million. That is nearly 10 million people who didn't come back and watch this year's tournament. And I know that you can look at every single game in the women's Final Four, the two semifinals and the championship game were blowouts. So certainly that plays some impact here, but it will go down historically from a television viewership standpoint, like what Caitlin Clark brought to women's college basketball. We have never seen anything like that before, and we might never see anything like that again. Like we talked about Alex Ovechkin breaking Gretzky's record yesterday. I don't know if we will ever see a national championship game touch what became the all-time most watched game, which was last year's Iowa-South Carolina game, which drew 18.9 million viewers. The difference between 18.9 million and 8.5 million is crazy.
That's because she's a phenom. We know what this is.
Crazy. I know, but I love studying phenoms.
This is Tiger Woods, right? I feel like Serena Williams had a touch of this at her height. Michael Jordan had a touch of this at his height, where Mike Tyson, right? Some of these all-time great boxers. We don't typically see it. And everybody I named, with the exception of Jordan, is a athlete, phenomenal, and an individual sport. We don't usually see one player drive the TV numbers this sort of way in a team sport. But that speaks to what the interest is around Caitlin Clark. We've made, and I would love for a study. I'd love to take a class on theories about why we think that is, because we've seen great players come through in team sports. We've seen players be divisive in a way where it is, okay, I'm going to stand up for myself, right? Example, Fab Five had some of this quality to them. It was 5 of them, first off, not one. First. Secondly, they were standing up for something they thought they needed to stand up for. Standing up for their individuality, standing up for their culture, standing up for players needing to be paid, all of those types of things they're standing up for, right? So obviously people are going to tune in to watch because they agree with or they disagree with, and they just want to yell and argue and be mad at somebody, right? We've been doing this yelling, arguing, being mad for no damn reason for a very, very long time. And some people play to that. Caitlin Clark never played to any of that. She didn't say anything. She just showed up and hooped and then went home. And for some reason, her mere presence at this level and the conversations that surrounded her in the collegiate level and in the W as well, because it's followed her, it's become real divisive. And all she's done is say, hey, I'm just here to hoop. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm making everybody upset like this. That is the interesting thing to me. You got greatness, and we see greatness come through from time to time, but we don't see it like Caitlin Clark did it and is continuing to do it in the WNBA from a eyeballs perspective.
Yeah, it's wild.
I
mean,
love
even like the 2 years before, the Iowa LSU game, which I do think if you're making that class, obviously you have to do a syllabus, and there has to be there would be a history of women's basketball up to that point. There would be the primary faces of women's basketball. You start with Caitlin Clark deciding to go to Iowa, but then it's that Iowa LSU game that would be like the midterm, right? Like that's the impetus for, and it's always so hard to talk about because the Caitlin Clark hive gets really on the defense, but it's true. Like the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese piece of this spurs this into another dimension.
I think that we...
And someone will be like, Caitlin Clark can't do anything. It always has to be injuries. But that's a very real moment that happened.
Because we're always trying to find a foil for somebody's greatness. Every great person, every Magic needs a Bird. Every Bird needs a Magic. Every Jordan needs a Pistons. All right, like that's what we're looking for. We don't allow greatness to simply exist and be great. We need the chief rival. And that's why, what's his name? Mickelson was always being brought up with Tiger because we were like, oh, that's his big rival. And Tiger just obliterated this dude. Sharapova's name would come up with Serena, and Serena would just obliterate her. Yeah. And why are these people's names continuing to come up? Because we need a foil for the great one.
I think you need drama. You need drama for infinite eyeballs too.
So with Clark.
Yes.
We tried, it was Paige first, because I remember when it was Paige, everybody was like, oh my gosh, there are two freshmen coming in, Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers. Both of them are phenomenal, but Paige is the better one. And I remember us beginning to do the Paige versus Caitlin thing, and it was really like, okay, whatever. It didn't really have traction. Paige ended up injuring her leg. Maybe that's a part of it, but it never really got going all the way. But damn it, I don't know if you heard the people I named. Magic and Bird, black-white. Serena Sharapova, black-white. Tiger Phil, black-white. When we get that black-white rivalry going, oh, we gobble that shit up as a collective. And the second it became Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, black-white, that's all anybody did, and that's where we all retreated to in our analysis of that particular game and our analysis of these two particular players. And I think that's some of the frustration that WNBA players are having right now, because once we go black-white, it gets real racist, real effing fast. And so I think that's, to your point, that game right there, it was absolutely the tinderbox, because it gave us a rival that didn't look like Caitlin Clark, that was somebody who looked different. And now everybody's on opposite sides of this, and we can all just yell and shout. And then that means we all want to see Caitlin Clark either be really, really good or fail miserably. And she, for the most part, was really, really good all of the time.
Yeah.
And is really, really good all the time.
Tinderbox is a great word usage.
If I had a band, I'd call them the Tinderbox.
The Tinderbox, yeah.
CJ heard in the Tinderbox.
It is interesting. I continue to want it studied. I almost called you Chris. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Chris, I mean, Jessica.
That's like somebody at the wedding came up to me. True story. Someone came up and said, I just met your better half. And I was like, you know Chris? And then they're like, no, CJ. And I was like, oh my God.
Sad day on Saturday.
Sad times.
I left after that. I was like, I can't be here anymore.
What I was gonna say is we were talking before the show, and the number of people who will pop out of the woodworks to talk about Caitlin Clark, which she's ratings gold, she's internet gold. Like, it's just
clip it, Luke.
No,
Luke, I don't
please,
have to
I can't
tell
take
you.
2 days in a row.
Luke, don't read it.
I don't.
Okay, there you go. Don't.
Well, I read some of it because I find it so fascinating. My favorite piece of it is that no one knows how to spell her name. That's not fair. Many do. But a lot of her biggest defenders refuse to learn how to spell her name. And I'm like, that should really be the baseline here. If you were spelling Caitlin Clark with a K in 2025, like, you should have your credentials revoked from this conversation.
We're keeping this clip going. Spell the name for the people.
Caitlin. Caitlin.
Is it Clark with an E?
No.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark.
All right.
I just wore a Caitlin Clark shirt on Saturday in honor of my dear Iowa friends getting married. Come on. But it's a fascinating thing to watch from like a cultural study, from an anthropological study. The drive that she had, and that number will be a number that is chased for a very long time from a rating standpoint. And it will be curious to see like what the new baseline is too, because you can't compare something to an anomaly. You can't compare everything to a phenom. So how do you measure growth in the women's college basketball space without constantly trying to weigh it to, well, remember that one year 18 million people watched Iowa, South Carolina?
But very clearly it's grown.
Yes.
You said it's the third most watched.
Which
means it's the most watched when you take the phenom out.
And I believe it was the second most watched first and second round games from this year. So again, there's plenty to grasp onto in tangible growth, while also acknowledging that for 2 years, when the Caitlin Clark phenom reached its absolute crescendo, it was one of the most sought-after viewing experiences in sports, period. And that was an incredible moment. All right, let's try to do a little TV Tuesday. We talked a little bit about White Lotus yesterday. I was not surprised to find out that the White Lotus finale was polarizing from a critical standpoint, from people liking it. It was as I sit here on the Tuesday after a Sunday show, and I can always change my mind, that's how this works, it's my favorite episode of White Lotus, period. And it drew 6.2 million viewers, since we're still talking about viewership, surpassed the previous week's episode by 30%, a 51% higher rating than the season 2 finale, 2.5 times more viewers than the season 3 premiere. It did become kind of the closest thing we've had to a shared viewing experience as a society. That doesn't mean everybody watches it, but it means a large number of people were watching it, and kind of like the collective conversation that comes from that. Because I liked the finale so much, it elevated the season as a whole for me, and so I ended up really enjoying season 3. I also think it's a testament, which is such an interesting thing to experience. I watched the last 3 episodes back to back to back because I was too behind. So while people were really frustrated by the third to last and the second to last episodes not really advancing the plot in a way that people were seeking, for me, it was perfect. It was like watching a 3-hour movie on Sunday. And I got the conclusion, and I really enjoyed the conclusion. So I'm just curious if I would feel differently if I had watched those 2 episodes in their live viewing slots and had to have a full week to sit on each of them and like really stew on the fact that not a ton happened. But anyway, I think I used this phrase yesterday. I love a character study. I do. It's my favorite. It is truly my favorite kind of media to consume. And this was, Mike White wrote beautiful characters that I cared about deeply. Characters, flawed characters. Obviously, White Lotus is just a giant satire on rich people. But what it does in a way that other satires do not, of like that similar nature, is it really makes you empathize with these pretty shady, gross, bad people. But just the conversation of morals, good versus bad, what would money make you do, who would money make you become, how that affects friendships, family relationships, love relationships, and to set it in Thailand this year and to have this like central theme of Buddhism, where Buddhism at its core is that life is made worse by excess, life is made worse by things, by the wanting and desire of things and the actual attachment of things, and like what are you if that is all stripped away, who are you at your core? I thought it was really well done. I was pleased.
It's interesting enough to where the wife is like, hey, this summer we're going to try and make our way through White Lotus. So I'll have my updates on White Lotus. So everybody's got a chance to watch it before I get going. It won't be any spoiler alerts in June, July, whenever I sit down to knock this out. You sent a tweet of some, I'm assuming, rich siblings.
Yep.
Can you explain that to me? Because I think I got it, but I need you to explain it to me.
Yeah, so this summarizes why I love the White Lotus, and it's the symbolism that Mike White uses from the beginning. So the top picture is these 3 siblings of this North Carolina family. You have seen the Duke meme by now of the dad looking like he's going to kill himself in a Duke shirt, where Duke got mad that they used the image. But it's this family where the dad has made financial decisions where they potentially are going to be bankrupt, or worse, he could be going to prison when they get home. Nobody has phones at this resort, so it's like the detachment of that and him figuring out. But as the siblings are coming over, people quickly pointed out, oh, that's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And that's how they looked in that picture. And then them on the boat on the way out is their personal growth journeys that happened over the last week on this vacation at the White Lotus Resort. And the guy who was absolutely the worst of the siblings, like just a clear D-bag, played by Patrick Schwarzenegger, he now is reading this book that was given to him by one of the characters, and you're led to believe that this character's influence on his life. He's reading a book on meditation, on like just meditation-like literature. And so here he has his eyes opened to this new world. And yet the other 2 siblings, the girl in the middle originally came over. She made her family take this trip to Thailand because she wanted to join a monastery. She wanted to go live with the monks for a year. And she ultimately has this growth moment within the show where she realizes she likes the comforts of her life. She likes the privilege that she has. And I have certainly met rich people who have been in that position where like they want to struggle, but then ultimately they just want to be comfortable because that's all they know and that's what they've completely grown up on. And then the other sibling in the sunglasses at the end, I think is a really curious piece. I don't want to reach too hard, but he had a near-death experience and saw God or saw the monks or saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And it kind of made me think of, isn't there a character in the Bible who sees God and then goes blind?
Yes.
Not if sometimes I don't remember my religious teachings perfectly.
Saul becomes Paul.
Yes. And he goes blind. So I don't know if that's the imagery that
I can't remember
they were looking for, but I love that I'm having the thoughts that could have been the imagery that's looked for.
Having not seen the show, I'm looking at the picture right now. All right, hear no evil, see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil. My man is reading a book. She's no longer wearing the headphones, though.
Yeah.
So it seems like from the picture, at the very least, she is more in tune with things that are going on around her. She's paying a bit more attention. The other guy still got the glasses on, though. And he's
no, but it's a different guy in the glasses.
Oh, it's a different guy in the glasses.
Yeah, see, the brothers switched. Oh. That's what I'm saying. The guy in the glasses was like the capital D bag.
Oh, it is a different. All white boys don't look the same.
But what I love with this too is, like, for all you know, his life could have been changed by this interaction. Like, he could become a more enlightened, better version of himself, or he could read one book and never read it again. That's the White Lotus, baby. We don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. I would pay to see this family spinoff, like Schitt's Creek style, where this family goes broke and seeing how they react in their totality. But that's not what we get with the White Lotus.
Saul sees Jesus' glory and then goes blind. So yeah.
Okay, there you go.
There it is. Thank you to Kip in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, please, Marvin Sapp, don't lock the doors on me. I'm just assuming that that's what happened.
What are you watching right now?
Oh, I'm watching grade A television.
Okay.
Let's start with Mid-Century Modern.
Okay.
Show on Hulu, a nice little sitcom show on Hulu. Think Golden Girls, but make it gay guys.
Okay, I love the cast.
It is something. It is something to sit down and watch. So yeah, watching that is pretty funny. Waiting on it to pick up. It's a little slow.
Okay.
It's a little slow in the first episode or two, but it feels like they're about to pick up and pick up the pace and shoot to all of the funny. I just saw a bunch of dudes who I was like, I'm pretty sure two of them are gay. I don't know if the third one is gay, but I'm pretty sure two of them are gay. One of the black guy I only know from Hitch. I don't know if he's been in anything else, and I only know the dude in the middle who's the main character.
Nathan Lane.
Oh, okay. I only know him because he was in
Only Murders in the Building.
Okay.
He popped up in Only
Murders in the Building, and Modern Family, and The Producers. Wasn't he in the?
Yes, he was in The Producers.
And so that's the only place I know him from. Don't know his name.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
He's Pumbaa.
There you go.
All right, and Pumbaa. Now that you mentioned Pumbaa, Mitchell from Modern Family, I forget that actor's name. He pops up in there from time to time as well. All in all, I'm enjoying myself. I'm also watching the Z Suite, a Tubi original.
Not a Tubi original.
A Tubi original. And I'm watching it because that's Lorelai.
Wait, that's Lauren Graham.
Who's that?
Lorelai.
Okay, so that's Lorelai, and that's Mateo up top from Superstore. And I love Superstore. My wife loved Gilmore Girls. So like, hey, we're going to sit down and watch this. That one follows an ad exec who gets let go because of a misstep in a commercial, and they promote her interns to the executive level, and her interns are Gen Z. And I find Gen Zers to be fascinating creatures. They are hilarious to me. And I'm laughing at you, not with you. Right? Like, every time I come across one of those little weirdos, it's like, I do not want to work with you in the workplace. And this is that type of show where it is highlighting why the hell I don't want to work with those people in the workplace. I can't stand Gen Z. Shut up, Jacob. He's close enough. So yeah, it's funny though. It's good stuff. I'm enjoying myself watching those shows. Still watching Daredevil. Still good. You and Kyra are Gen Z? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I knew it. I knew I didn't like them. Still making my way through Daredevil, which is really, really good to me. Not really, really good. It's good now. The first episode, second episode, all right. But now I'm like 6 episodes in, and it's good right now.
I'm still watching The Pit, obviously. Season finale this coming week. I'm 1 episode behind. I promise I will catch up by the time The Pit is live. No, I won't. I won't be able to watch The Pit live because the Grizzlies play at 8:30 p.m. on a Thursday night. It's okay. Okay, I'll watch it on Friday. It'll give me something to look forward
what's more
to.
important to you,
The Grizzlies
Jessica?
Timberwolves game, and then I won't watch it Friday either because the Grizzlies
it's
play the
here.
Nuggets.
No, it's on the road.
No, it's here.
Is it here?
8:30 here, baby.
8:30. Playoff atmosphere, FedEx Forum.
It better be.
It will be.
It better be. The Warriors game was awesome. The Lakers game was awesome. The Celtics game was awesome. But the one difference, those three teams draw in the opposing team's fan base. I want Thursday to feel excessively Memphis Grizzlies home court advantage. Yes, the energy was awesome at those games, but there were a lot of Steph Curry fans. There were a lot of Celtics fans. There were a lot of LeBron fans. Give me all Grizzlies fans, all Memphis, everything. Grizzlies will play the Hornets tonight. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about it. 6 o'clock Central Time tip. That's exciting because CJ and I are going to the theater tonight. Some Like It Hot at the Orpheum. We'll be back tomorrow, talk about the Grizzlies. Gary Parrish will join us. I believe we also have another special guest. We'll talk about it pre-production meeting starting now. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Bye.
What's happening?